It's 2025, a new year, and the perfect time to turn your business dreams into reality. Maybe you've been tossing around a great idea, but haven't acted yet. Well, Shopify is how you're going to make it happen. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and make your first sale. With thousands of customizable templates, you don't need coding or design skills. Just drag, drop, and go. Plus, Shopify's social media tools help you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts so you can sell everywhere your customers scroll. Managing your business is easy too. From shipping to taxes to payments, Shopify handles the details on a single dashboard, letting you focus on what really matters: growing your business. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it.
We will not be held responsible for any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound. Any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound.
Hi. It is Christmas.
No, it's not.
Well, it's the week of Christmas.
It is the week of Christmas, and we have a very special guest in-house.
Yes, we do. Tell us all about that special guest.
I believe Santa Claus is going to be coming in studio.
We will have Santa in studio here shortly.
Hopefully. Now look, he's getting ready for Christmas. We did talk to him earlier today, and he said he was going to try and stop by. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. I have my cell phone sitting right here.
Okay.
But the only way he has to get here is the sleigh, and they're already starting to load some of the toys in it and so forth. So hopefully he's able to get here. I don't know if maybe he can just jump on like Prancer's back and
take a quick shoot down.
Right.
I hear that.
Apparently he actually wants to weigh in on this whole gun discussion.
Really?
That's happening. Yeah, which is weird because he's not an American citizen, so I'm curious to see what he's going to have to say on that.
Well, I mean, but he's a man. He's a worldly man, and he's been around a long time.
He has. He's seen a lot of different things.
So it's good insight to have.
Well, I'm first of all.
The problem we have is history repeats itself, and we don't necessarily take notice of that on a regular basis.
Right. By the way, where's my coffee? I know you brought it over here.
I don't know. I gave it to you. How'd you lose it?
It's
the most important thing you have.
It is, and I didn't even sit up or get up, if you noticed. So this show is happening, as many people were. There were two reasons that this show might not have happened. Number one, the Mayan calendar ended.
Right.
The world was supposed
it may not have got to us because on our coast it's only 10:30. So we still have.
Are there any listeners on the East Coast?
I don't know.
If you're still there.
I'll have to pull up the show chart.
Are there any tweets coming from Australia?
No, I haven't seen an Australian tweet in a while, as a matter of fact.
Okay, that could be a problem. Well, hopefully we don't go off there here in an hour and a half. And the other reason is, football last week.
I know.
We
what? Before you dive into that,
mortal enemies. No, I'm diving into this right
now. No. I want to go back to the Mayan calendar for a second.
Oh, okay.
First and foremost, I know me, and I'm a pretty average guy.
You're above average. Don't sell yourself short.
I also know that being an average guy, I get lazy on certain things.
Okay.
Did anyone think for a second, just a second, that maybe the guy who was supposed to be doing the Mayan calendar, or the guys, just got lazy?
Well, or was leap year taken into account?
No, gosh, no.
Was remember the calendar changed in the 1700s, I believe, because
right.
George Washington, I think, was originally born on like February 11th, and now we celebrate it on the 22nd because the calendar changed.
Before you get into the actual science of it, because I don't care about that, because I'm a nutcase.
Right. No, you're not a nutcase.
Maybe
I am.
Maybe he got drunk. Maybe he got lazy.
Right.
His wife could have been nagging him to vacuum.
Maybe he died.
Or fix the furnace.
Maybe he died.
Right. Maybe he had a massive heart attack and died, and his kid didn't want to take on the legacy, because he wanted to join the Peace Corps. All these different things that it could have been. And that's aside Now let's talk about the lunatics in this country and all around the world
That we're rooting for the 49ers.
that we're rooting for the 49ers, A, you bastard.
What?
And B,
Really?
that actually do crazy things as a result of the possibility that the Mayan calendar may be right.
You know what? I support their right to do so.
I support it. I support their right. It doesn't mean that it doesn't make them weird.
Okay.
I look at it this way: if the world were to end tomorrow, I don't live my life like that.
Well, we're supposed to end.
Right, today. I'm not one of those people I have to get everything out of the one full day because I have to be blah 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 blah. Because I pace myself.
Really?
You bet me. I pace myself with everything I do.
The Lamborghini that I saw parked out front of the studio today.
That is a rental. And
there's no rental tags anywhere on that.
You would not believe the deductible on that.
Yeah. Do you still have the receipt? Because I have a feeling you're going to be taking that one back.
I have IOUs. That, my friend, is better. And if anyone's ever seen Dumb and Dumber, I want to say hi to our friend, the Exceptional Conservative Show. They threw a chat out, say hi to us.
Hello.
They've been to the show a couple times. You haven't catch them, they're Blog Talkers as well. Love their show.
They're awesome.
They are awesome. So you got to check that show out. So that's my little.
Is our friend Obama 2016 in the room yet?
Not yet, but he never fails.
He doesn't.
He hates us so much he comes back every week.
I don't think he hates us. I think we're pretty fair.
No, I know he doesn't hate us. Either way, he comes back every week.
He does, and I think it's important to have people of different point of views. Did you see this Calvin and Hobbes?
I did.
Did I show you that Calvin and Hobbes?
I did. That's one of my favorite Calvin and Hobbes. If anyone doesn't know what Calvin and Hobbes is,
you're a communist. No, I'm kidding. You may be. I don't know, but one of my favorite cartoons. So, listen, I don't know that I've even looked at the news this week because.
How could you have not?
I have been so ridiculously crazy in my other life.
In your other life?
Yeah.
You're leading two lives?
Oh, man, yeah.
Busted? You are so busted.
Why, my wife call?
Yeah.
Sorry, honey.
Yeah, believe me, she's thrilled.
Yeah. So, look, fiscal. I know a lot of things have happened. Fiscal Cliff.
Yeah.
Coming up. Plan B was rejected, so that's awesome.
Right.
Way to go, Republicans, to go try and meet him 3/4 of the way, and way to go, Mr. President, for kicking him to the curb. We had John Kerry was named by the president, right?
Yeah, he's gonna
for Secretary of State, as long as he's confirmed by Congress. Good luck with that. What?
Oh no, Republicans. Oh, you said John Kerry?
Yeah.
I thought you said Chris Christie. Sorry. You see how maybe it's something in my headphones as I'm getting a ringing tonight, so I could.
Those are not your Boston headphones.
No.
So perhaps you are getting some feedback.
I'm getting some feedback.
I saw the movie Moneyball again.
That's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
It was absolutely Billy Beane. Just pretty much, he came up with how modern baseball is played essentially, and drafted and all that stuff. It was a great movie.
Well, that and my favorite part of the movie is when he turned down the Red Sox for a job. That was.
Yeah, that hurt us.
What?
We got Theo in 2 rings.
Who?
Theo Epstein.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I know. So
is that an actor?
No, he's not an actor.
Wait, was he like one of the Jackson 5? I don't know who that is. I wore my
Theo Epstein was the Jackson 5.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
I wore my infidel hat.
Well, that's because you are
today.
One. I love that hat.
This is the best hat ever. And they've been sold out. I have actually looked for you.
I know you have.
And they have been sold out.
That's all right.
And I'm not giving you
I still have my paper sack in my head. I had a funny question in an email. Somebody said to me, hey, why Sackheads Radio? Why did you do that? Like, what's the meaning behind it? And I said, well, we tried it with plastic bags, And after the trip to the hospital, we figured we'd better go to a plan B.
Well, but no, this is actually our plan C, because if you recall, after the plastic bags didn't work, we tried nooses. We tried rope head radio, and that didn't work out so well for us either.
Yeah.
And then we tried cowboy hat head.
We did try that.
Right. We tried sombrero head.
We did.
Sack head just kind of had a nice ring to it.
It fits, so there you go. Hey,
Are you actually going to answer the question honestly about why we chose that, or are we just going to leave them hanging?
No. Well, I did. I said we tried the plastic bags. It didn't work. What is wrong with that?
Okay, anybody who's ever seen a picture of us notices that there's paper bags
constantly
over our heads. And I don't know if it's commentary on our looks. I don't think so. But
well, we definitely have faces for radio, so it works out well. So, real interesting. Before we
great coffee.
I know, Dunkin' Donuts, baby. Every single time.
I know.
We just can't get enough of it.
I almost feel guilty for drinking this.
I don't.
Well, no, because I got it for you, and then here I am.
No, it's the holiday season, my friend.
It's the Christmas season. Are you stinking kidding me right now?
You know,
did you really just say
no?
This is the holiday season?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
We just had
Thanksgiving.
We did just have Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
We had Hanukkah.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas is coming up,
mm-hmm.
which I celebrate and you celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
Then the New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
For that whole time,
mm-hmm.
I'm not as big as a jerk
mm-hmm.
as I normally am.
Right.
But for me, that's the entirety of that is the holidays.
Okay.
Christmas is Christmas.
See, for me, this is the Christmas season.
Okay.
Because that's where, and I'm right. So for me, all the
no, you're not.
I am. There are holidays, but it's like after Thanksgiving, it's no longer
I am
one
always,
of the holidays.
As soon as Thanksgiving starts, I am always in a much better mood. I love the holiday season.
Okay.
I love Christmas. I love Christmas music.
I love the Christmas season. So
I love the Christmas spirit.
The Christmas spirit, okay,
yep.
Not the holiday spirit.
Right, no.
Okay.
And that's our disconnect.
Okay.
I am in Christmas mode from, December 1st on-ish.
Okay. So do you say Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas?
No, I say Merry Christmas.
Okay, so it's the Christmas season.
But I also say Happy Thanksgiving, Happy New Year.
Right.
I do say Happy Hanukkah to my Jewish friends.
Absolutely, but do you say Happy Holidays?
No.
Okay, so this is the Christmas season. Thank you for agreeing with me. It took a second, but
I never disagreed with you.
You
try to frame the argument like I disagreed with you. I wasn't disagreeing with you.
Can I not force an argument?
No. Listen, I don't want to argue with you about this. So, the Fiscal Cliff is here.
Did you say the Fiscal Cliff? I saw that movie. That was a great movie. That's not what you said.
Real quick, Plan B was rejected, of course, because, why wouldn't it be?
Was Planned Parenthood rejected?
No.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know. That was in Plan C. Before we get too far into the Fiscal Cliff, do you think Boehner is going to retain the speakership? Bachmann already threw her hat in the ring.
Who did?
Michelle Bachmann.
I think the Republicans need to be very careful, and here's why. I would love for Michelle Bachmann to get the speakership because she is a true conservative, and I think Boehner is Boehner. I'm going to call him Boehner.
Well, no, Boner.
Because it's part boner and part coward. I think that he is. I think the Republicans are scared. I think they're cowards, and Boehner in particular.
Yeah.
We've had this discussion before, not to beat a dead horse. The Republicans have done very well when they've stuck to their conservative principles, and I point to the Reagan era. I point to Newt Gingrich when he was tough, and he and Clinton actually, I think he shut the government down for I don't remember how 9 days, 7 days, something like that. And they actually came to terms because he had courage. The midterm elections of 2010, when the Republicans were very conservative, had courage and actually stood up for principles, specifically the Tea Party conservatives. And now we have the election of Obama. Look, the people allowed the Republicans to keep the House, and what do? They start to capitulate and back down. Look, you can force a very meaningful discussion. If you want to compromise, then that means that the Democrats have to give something up. They have to give in to something.
And their argument is that they constantly give in. They're not talking about major cuts.
Where?
They're certainly not talking about tax breaks for everybody. They still want to go, if you make over $1 million, blah, 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 blah. I know they like to demonize wealthy people, and believe me, I'm not wealthy. The joke about the Lamborghini earlier was just that, a joke. They love to demonize them, and they try to turn them into like the Mr. Burns character from The Simpsons, as the big evil man who sits behind the desk and twiddles his fingers, releases the hounds whenever somebody comes by looking, whoever it is, the Boy Scouts or whatever, Girl Scouts. When the simple fact is a lot of the people that are in that are individual small business owners who claim their business as their individual tax. And yes, the overall of their business may make $1 million or over $250,000 or $500,000, but they themselves don't have that amount of money.
Correct.
And that came out during the election. Even the president admitted that, and then it kind of goes away now that we're in the actual financial, and they're back to demonizing. Oh, rich people. Michael Moore, the guy who drew that
piece
amazing.
Of crap.
Oh no, he's lost a lot of weight, so he's a thinner piece of crap.
Has he really? Does he have cancer?
No, he's
not that I would wish that on anybody.
No, he's
it's
just
not
walking.
A question.
Okay.
Either that or he's stressed out.
He's one of the biggest ones, and he's come out already for guns. But I follow
for guns? Really? That's weird.
No.
Oh.
Funny story about that. His, I believe it was one of his bodyguards
Minions? Okay.
was arrested.
Minions.
For having a gun illegal at the airport a couple of years ago.
Really?
Weird how that goes aside.
Huh.
But, he's one of the ones with the Fiscal Cliff talking about the rich, and he was out at Occupy and all that stuff, and I see him on Twitter.
Yeah,
I follow him on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Lives in a huge estate in Flint, Michigan. Makes millions of dollars. He's a big pro-union guy, and this is one of the rich libs. The guy, I'll always give more. Uber pro-union, he was there talking about how great the union is. Has numerous times been found having a non-union cast when he's recording. So these are the people that they're trying to push up and be like, oh, look at this rich guy. He's willing to pay more. He's one of that guys. But he's the guy who goes against everything he says he stands up for constantly. And that's what they do. They demonize the individual rich people or the wealthy people. I guess you can't say rich anymore. I guess it's a bad buzzword. And instead of looking at them as like successes, like, hey, you know what? This guy did something. And even if he had some help along the way from his friends and his family, or, he just got a great job from the word go, started in the mailroom and worked his way up to CEO, whatever, they demonize that person, the person who puts people to work, the person who spends a lot of money for their business into the economy. I think it's 50% of our taxes come from those folks or something to that effect. Why can't we just give it across the board? I understand the middle class can't take a tax hike. I certainly understand that lower middle class and the poor can't take a tax hike. How about nobody takes a tax hike?
Because this isn't. You want an answer?
Yeah, that's the whole point of our show. There's two of us. I say something and you respond.
Because
we talked about this in the pre-production meeting.
we go through this because this isn't about the people.
I know.
This is about power.
Right.
And this is about advancing a particular agenda.
I agree.
Plain and simple. Look, I've said this before. Obama, I have to give the man credit in that he actually has told us what he is going to do.
Time and again, he's laid it right out.
Look, now he's flip-flopped on a couple things, but he has said that he is going to we are X number of days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Right.
We need to change the conversation. And Michelle Obama says, we need to change our history, our culture. I don't remember the exact quote. Look,
we have to move forward.
They've come right out and said what they are going to do. Okay.
Yep. And we live it.
And
not you and I, but as a nation, we.
Well, as a nation, we have allowed this to happen. And look, if that's what you want is a socialist America, and that's what you believe as an individual, okay, we can fundamentally disagree on that, but be honest in what it is, and let's have an honest debate and discussion about it.
Right.
And just so you know, you'll have to scrap the Constitution because that's illegal.
What?
What? Weird.
Yeah, but
but that's what I think it is. Look, it's not. If you want wealth redistribution and if you want government power, you have to. You can't bring all of the masses up to make the same amount of money as the rich. You have to bring the rich down.
Right.
That's the only way.
No,
to do it.
I understand how that works. But again, in the problem though, it's why they're starting younger and younger. Everybody wins soccer. Everyone wins baseball. There's everyone has to have the same stuff in school. They're raising people.
And I'm a jerk because I don't let my kid take the trophy.
Right.
No, you didn't earn it.
Right. And that's great because that's what we've started. We started that society. So then we get to something like the Fiscal Cliff, and it's, and he says it too, and I'm going to play the clip from today about how everyone agrees that the middle class can't take another tax hike. I'm just going to play the clip.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Over the last few weeks, I've been working with leaders of both parties on a proposal to get our deficit under control, avoid tax cuts or avoid tax hikes on the middle class, and to make sure that we can spur jobs and economic growth. A balanced proposal that cuts spending but also asks the wealthiest Americans to pay more. A proposal that will strengthen the middle class over the long haul and grow our economy over the long haul. During the course of these negotiations, I offered to compromise with Republicans in Congress. I met them halfway on taxes, and I met them more than halfway on spending. And in terms of actual dollar amounts, we're not that far apart. As of today, I am still ready and willing to get a comprehensive package done. I still believe that reducing our deficit is the right thing to do for the long-term health of our economy and the confidence of our businesses. I remain committed to working towards that goal, whether it happens all at once or whether it happens in several different steps. But in 10 days, we face a deadline. In 10 days, under current law, tax rates are scheduled to rise on most Americans. And even though Democrats and Republicans are arguing about whether those rates should go up for the wealthiest individuals, all of us, every single one of us, agrees that tax rates shouldn't go up for the other 98% of Americans, which includes 97% of small businesses. Every member of Congress believes that, every Democrat, every Republican. So there is absolutely no reason, none, not to protect these Americans from a tax hike. At the very least.
So I just can't listen to him sometimes. So he talks about the 2%. And again, it's the 98 versus the 2. Look, he's going to create this. He's going to push the agenda of separation.
Let me flip this, Mr. President. What you're arguing about is 2%. Now you're putting it on the Republicans that the reason that taxes may go up on everybody is because they won't agree to raise taxes on that 2%. What about it if I turn that around and I say, no, the reason everybody's taxes are going to go up if this sunsets and if you don't meet the deadline is because you refuse to capitulate and make everybody pay since the 2% won't pay more, in your opinion. They already pay more. If everybody paid 10% and they make $1 million, 10% of $1 million is more than somebody paying 10% of $50,000. So I can flip that right back around on you. Unfortunately, I don't think members of the media they're too busy humping your leg or whatever it is the hell they're doing. They won't turn that around and ask you that question. Well, so, Mr. President, why is it that you say the Republicans are the ones that are going to cause that when the Democrats also are holding firm? Look, somebody's got to blink. So,
and this is going to bring me into my next segment, our next segment a little early, and I don't mean to do that. But
no, then don't. Hold off.
No.
Okay.
He never talks about spending and cuts. It's always about raising taxes.
He said cuts.
Right. But he never talks about big cuts.
Right.
And that's
or entitlements.
Or entitlements. And, it says to me that he doesn't want to compromise because that's one of the biggest things that Republicans should be going after, and they do most of the time. Not Boehner, because he's a moron. Boehner. But that's one of the biggest things. Hey, we got to cut entitlements. We got to cut big spending, and work our way down, and then we can look at what we have. Once we get those cuts out of the way, we can see what we need to do to close the deficit.
And I'm going to start by not taking a salary.
Right. But let me start. Let's start with the cuts, and then that'll give us our bottom line. Once we see what the cuts off the bottom, what the total or sum will be, then we can go, all right, that's the number we need to get rid of. What can we do?
And let's talk about the fiscal cliff. The fiscal cliff doesn't mean that I'm out of money.
It means the government's out of money.
Yeah. Hey, government. It means y'all are out of money.
Right.
You spent everything we gave you.
Yeah.
That's your problem. It's your job to come up with a solution for that. Come up with a solution for that. Figure it out. You guys have had how long? You've known this was coming for how long? What wasn't the last fiscal cliff scare a year?
Yeah, but he had to get reelected.
Oh yeah.
He had an election to run. That was the most important thing.
Yeah.
I have to get reelected because the work's not done.
Yeah.
And this is what the work's going to be. It's going to be taxing the rich, keeping entitlements the same, and then our next segment, or assume it's going to be our next segment, is gun control. And that's going to be where that goes, which, by the way, is going to absolutely cause more money into the budget.
Oh, my, especially with some of the proposals.
Yeah, and we'll get into that the next time around. Exceptional conservative in the chat room said, if he canceled his vacation, he would have saved us $40 million.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, $40 million to go on vacation. I can't go to the snow for the weekend some weeks just because, bills, and I'm a normal person. I pay my bills and all that stuff.
The way paychecks fall.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just, unfortunately, it works out sometimes. Here he is, $40 million. Oh, but fiscal cliff, budget cut. Fiscal cliff, budget cut. We're in trouble. They're not go. Plan B down. But I'll be back, y'all. I'm $40 million vacation. But I'm the president that cares. I know what it's like to suffer as I get on Air Force One and off to Hawaii.
Now, first of all,
which they don't tell you is 2 planes, 2 Air Force Ones go on every single trip.
Okay, now hang on. I have a couple things on this, and I might piss off a couple conservatives in the chat room right now. First of all, anybody that goes to Hawaii is okay with me. Okay? Second of all.
It's nothing against Hawaii.
Second of all.
I know you're protective of Hawaii.
Second of all. I could not imagine a more stressful job than being president of the United States.
Absolutely.
And having a family. So the fact that the man wants to go on vacation, I don't begrudge him that. Get that little sausage finger down. I'll finish my point.
It can't be little and sausage at the same time.
That's a good point. Vienna's.
That's not a sausage. It's a mini hot dog.
Right in the title.
It's a mini hot dog.
Next. In order to go on vacation.
Really, to the title, I have a business card that says radio show host. What? Title does not necessarily dictate stuff.
As the president of the United States going on vacation, I believe that he has to take Air Force One because if something happens, he's got his entire office.
I understand.
That happens.
I understand.
Next, as far as 2 Air Force Ones, I will actually even grant him that. 2 Air Force Ones, 2 Marine Ones, because especially being such a high potential target as president of the United States, you need to be able to have decoy aircraft and so forth. I completely get that, and I don't hold. I don't. Is he coming?
I thought. Is he coming down the hall?
Are you here?
Still doesn't want to go in the studio with us.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to go in the studio.
No,
but
he's not coming in.
Just kept going.
So I don't begrudge him that. Yes, it's a lot of money. The president of the United States needs security. He needs to do certain things and have certain assets available to him. I get that. But now maybe time your vacations a little bit better, not when we have...
Well, you know what? How about... I understand, but I don't know how many vacations he's taken, him and then Michelle separately. They've taken a lot of vacations.
Okay.
The same thing... I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or different. Yeah. What I will say, though, is...
I said begrudge him a vacation, not 5 vacations.
Right.
Look,
100 rounds of golf.
Right.
The same thing that
I don't take a vacation every year.
Mainstream media slammed the previous administration for and blamed everything on the previous administration.
Yeah.
He's taken more liberties. I'm not saying it's a stressful job, but you know what? If he said, we're going to stay in the White House this Christmas, we have a lot of work to do. I talked to my family. We're going to stay home and have. I would
absolutely have I would respect that.
Right.
Absolutely. And then, hey, you know what? It's been 2 years, a year since we've taken a vacation. You want to take one vacation a year. Hey, I get it. I don't always take a vacation every year. So.
Oh, we're going to go to Camp David, to the compound, and we're going to do it out there. It's gorgeous out there. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Camp David. You know, so
there's
all
nothing wrong
these
with
things.
Hawaii either, just to be clear, Mr.
There is zero wrong with Hawaii.
Okay, thank you.
It was not a personal assault on your people.
What do you mean, my people?
Your family,
really, now you're going to bring race into this?
You're Portuguese.
That's not the point. You said my people. That's clearly a racist remark.
Oh, goodness gracious. But no, I have a problem with that, you know.
Okay, then you have a problem with the timing.
I do.
Not the money?
Well, no, I also have a problem with the amount of vacations that he takes. And I have more of a problem with the media, not the mainstream media, not jumping him on.
Okay, now I will.
It goes back to the fairness.
I will give you this. So, does the president have to stay at a 5.5-star hotel?
No.
Not 5.5-star, I'm making that up. But, I mean, he could stay at...
No, it becomes a 5.5-star hotel by the time he gets there.
Yeah, good point. He could stay at, maybe save a little money here and there. But, what? You just laughed at something. I don't read the chat room. As we go.
Somebody said, I'm racist because you're racist because you believe he needs twice as many planes as his predecessor.
His predecessor also
used to. It was just funny.
Yeah. Well, yeah, one has to carry the ego.
Hello. We're going to take a quick break. Hey, I wanted to... Fox News just put this out. You know about John Hammer? He's the Marine who was in Mexico that was being held on the ridiculous gun charge.
Yes.
The antique shotgun or what have you.
Yep.
He has been released.
Yeah, I know.
And he is home with his family.
Yes, he is.
So finally, somebody picked up the phone and said, "Yeah, give him back. It's causing a big enough problem here, and people are already mad at me."
Well, I think a judge, a judge in Mexico actually ruled that his arrest and holding violated the Mexican Constitution, which it did. And
right.
He was released.
Right.
But
I'm surprised the State Department hasn't come and run right up and said, "Hey, we got him out. Everyone come look at what we did. We did something right finally."
Here's what I would have done if I was president of the United States. Vote for me in 2015.
Clint 2015.
I would have picked up the phone and I said, "Hey, President of Mexico, just so you know, there's an F-22 Raptor about 100 miles out, and I think you need to release our Marine who is being held on a bogus charge."
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You have a choice. You have two planes. There's an F-22 Raptor or a C-130. Which one do you want? The C-130 to fly our citizen home, or the F-22 Raptor to remind you that we're not that far away? I'm just saying.
Right. Just throwing it out there.
Throwing it out there.
Because you have one of our military men who actually did not...
Former military, but still.
Who actually did not break the law.
Right.
So...
You know what I bet it was? I bet you got stopped and he didn't have the $75 to buy off the Federale.
Probably.
So, and those are the guys that we're going to trust when gun control goes into effect to make sure that the illegal guns don't cross the border.
They don't patrol our streets.
No, but when the liberal dream takes place and the guns are erased in America, and then the cartel, we'll talk about it the next segment. We talk about gun control. Because I want to get into all that. Everyone who thinks that it's this amazing idea, I sent you a thing earlier, and we'll talk about it after the break, about all the other problems that everyone's kind of ignoring. So we'll be back in a minute. Oh, God, all over the road again. Seriously, I need an electric collar, and you have to press the button when I saw it just wandering.
Are you kidding me? I'm having such a great time right now. I'm totally putting you on Instagram.
Awesome, thank you. Make sure they don't sell it
without the paper bag.
We'll be back in a minute.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PolitigalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PolitigalNetwork.com or Twitter at PolitigalUSA.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. You want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis? That is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women in uniform of the armed forces. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our... God.
You going to mention me this time?
Thank you, Sean. You said mention you, right?
Oh.
You totally need to keep that as an outtake.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
Socko! Socko is in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey guys, they left me out there in the cold. They broke my key and they wouldn't let me in.
Dude, take your hood off. You look like a Unabomber right now.
Oh, I haven't got a haircut.
When you're the new guy on the show, you know, you got to expect stuff like that. Don't you have something to fix or some sort of sound or something to make? Just go in the other room. Hey, do you need more coffee? Socko's here. We brought you a cup and a coffee, buddy. You know we love you.
Oh, I feel the love.
That is a K-cup.
So we are back from the break. Hey, the Behngazi report came out this week. You remember Behngazi? I think the mainstream media doesn't want to cover, but it's weird. Everyone else does.
Oh, the thing Hillary Clinton testified about? Oh, no, she disappeared. Never mind.
Mm-hmm. So, she bumped her head or got a concussion.
You know what's weird is NFL quarterbacks get a concussion and they're playing like a week later. She bumps her head on a ceiling fan or something or a headboard, I don't know, and now she can't testify for 3 months. What? We don't know. Bill can get kind of crazy, right? Could it be a headboard injury? We don't know.
Do you remember this?
Good for her if it is.
Just after. Do you remember just after? It came out. The Clinton thing just. The Clinton thing came out when he was with Lewinsky when he was the president.
Oh, the Clinton thing came out and ended up on her dress.
The Saturday Night Live did a great thing where they did like the Clintons at home, but they did an episode of Cops, and they kept responding for the domestic, and Bill kept having all these weird marks on him, and he kept denying it, and it was just brilliantly done. And the great God, I can't remember his name, but the guy who played Clinton at the time, he ended up. Unfortunately, his wife murdered him. But that was one of the funniest things, and it just got worse every time.
Phil Hartman?
Phil Hartman, thank you very much.
He was Blasto, by the way, on a PlayStation game.
Wow.
How's that for pulling it out?
Wow.
Uh-huh.
So if you have a chance, you got to check that out. That was one of the greatest Saturday Night Live things. And he just got worse and worse. Every time we went, President Clinton would just have, huge bumps and bruises. And what happened? I fell down. And Hillary was just sitting there with her arms crossed, glaring at him. It was awful. Good times. That's when SNL was funny.
Yeah.
So, back to Behngazi. Hillary, as you know, as Clint so kindly pointed out, bumped her head. We don't know on what. That was just, we just guessed that maybe it was that, but she bumped her head.
Is it not possible?
Anything's possible.
Okay.
We all know he's a tiger. Well, there goes that G rating. Anyhow, so I just got some of the highlights here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but some of them that I think is important. One of it is overall. It said that the security concerns in high-risk area like Behngazi was due to lack of funding and resources, which we knew in Behngazi they were asking for more resources months before the attack.
Right.
And the quote was, one overall conclusion of the report is that Congress must do its part to provide necessary resources to the State Department to address security risks and meet mission imperatives.
So they're blaming Congress.
Yeah, that's what. First I was like, now wait a second. How about the State Department?
And who did this report?
This was the Hillary Clinton's Accountability Review Board.
Huh. Comprised of?
It's chaired by former Ambassador Tom Pickering, vice-chaired by former Joint Chiefs Michael Mullen, and I believe there's a few other ones on there as well.
And who appointed them?
I don't know, to be completely honest with you.
Hillary Clinton, maybe?
I think, yeah, but I think it's bipartisan, if I remember. It's an independent.
Oh, well, then it must be right. So.
Well, no, I didn't say that. But they slammed them. They did slam the State Department pretty well, actually. So, but as a result, 4 people in the State Department have resigned.
Good.
After this come out. So that's a good start.
Good.
It's not enough, but it's a good start.
Hopefully the president will resign.
It's not going to happen. But do you think this is going to kill Hillary if she was planning on running?
No, and here's why. I think Hillary is, first of all, I think the Clintons are very, very shrewd politicians. And I think that Hillary is pulling out, not in the same sense that Bill did, and she's pulling out now, and she's leaving this administration. And in 4 years, she can come back, or in 3 years, she can come back and say, you know what, mistakes were made. And the current administration, by that time, you know, he's a lame duck. The current administration made mistakes and certain things happened. I was in control only to a point. I didn't want to work in that environment. I didn't feel that I could make a big difference and have things go the right way, blah, 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 however she wants to spin it. And I think she has the following and the credibility, although I'm not sure that it's well deserved. I mean, I don't think she's done a horrible job in her role as Secretary of State. I don't think she's done a horrible job.
No, I don't disagree with you, but
I think that she can spin that to be able to come back, and she has such a following where I think she would be able to do it. Now, is this going to be a point of attack for whoever's running against her? Absolutely. Is it going to hurt her? Yeah. Is it going to be detrimental? I'm not so sure.
Well, I just think that this is such a big mark, and, you know.
But who's it a mark against?
I think it's against her.
You think so?
Yeah.
The president was in the Situation Room.
I know the president was in the Situation Room, but.
And who does she answer to?
She does answer to the president. I don't deny that.
So.
But what I'm saying is, you know, she had the ad if the phone rings at 3 a.m. Her phone rang at 3 a.m., and she didn't do the right thing with it.
The president's phone.
His also rang.
Exactly. And so who makes the final call?
They both get the blame, though.
Somebody makes the final call.
I understand that.
And who is that?
I don't think it was the president at the time. I think she should have been making the final call. I think it goes to her, and then he gets briefed afterwards.
He was watching it live.
Right.
So, therefore, who's making that call?
I think she still is because it's her department.
No, I disagree. I think with a situation like that has such a huge foreign policy implication, and you're talking about U.S.
Yeah, but this is a man that had zero
personnel.
foreign policy experience when he became president. What would he know about it? She had more just from being the first lady.
Can I finish? Okay.
Oh, now I can't interrupt you?
Listen, we're playing by Portuguese rules, okay? Maybe I didn't make that clear in our production meeting. I think the buck stops with him. Does she have some culpability? Absolutely she does. I'm not denying that she doesn't. She does. However, I think the ultimate responsibility lies on him. And politically, she can make that case. And if she decides to run, I think she will make that case. Again, this will hurt her.
Yeah, well,
there's no doubt. But I don't know. I'm not convinced that it will be detrimental to a run because I think she can spin it that way.
Well, I think that they're going to hit her in the parts leading up to it, the warnings that were issued, and they cited that here in the report, which, of course, is the part that I can't find, of course, because I highlighted it, and then I turned the page, and I didn't get back to it. But the amount of warnings that they had ahead of time should have gone to him prior, but at least should have got to her desk. And then she should have said, hey, this is going to be a problem. Hey, Mr. President, just so you know, this is what's going on.
Do you think he was not briefed? Do you think the president didn't know about the attack on the embassy?
There's been numerous times that he has skipped a bunch of intelligence briefings, yes.
Okay, so whose responsibility is that then?
It's his.
Okay.
That's leading up to it, but he doesn't.
Thank you.
He's like a CEO, and we've talked about this before. He doesn't control. He can't micromanage. It's impossible. That's why he's supposed to be putting these people in place. Let me finish now. Portuguese rules.
You interrupted me.
It's his job to appoint people that he trusts to make the right decision. So, if he wasn't notified, then he appointed the wrong person. Because there has to be a protocol somewhere. And I'm telling you, it has to be there somewhere where it's, hey, you know what? The Secretary of State or her department or the people that work for her have X, Y, and Z protocol to follow. So if the threat level's here, then they do this, threat level's here. Once it gets to a certain level, it needs to go here. I don't think it even got to her, though, which just reading the report through. I don't think it did get to her, which is where I'm going with this. So that says to me that she, being the CEO of her department, or the boss of her department, was leading poorly because stuff like that should have gotten to her, for her to own the responsibility, and then she could tell the president, who would then own the responsibility.
Now,
so it's a chain of communication.
That report is not clear as far as I don't know.
I only have 39 pages of the unclassified. I don't have all the
exactly.
classified.
So we don't know whether it got to her or not. Number one. Number two, you can't tell me.
I'm pretty
you
sure
can't tell me when everybody or when the world, there were other intelligence agencies out there that knew that this other attack on the embassy occurred with the bomb, right? And then the British get attacked, correct?
Right.
So she didn't know about that?
Oh, no.
So the president didn't know about that?
Should have known.
And if,
should have known.
Should have. And if he misses his intelligence briefings, that's on him. That's not on her.
Right.
It's not her job to make sure her boss gets to an intelligence briefing.
Yeah, but if it's not going to that intelligence briefing. So say he didn't miss one, and they're sending him up constantly. And she's not sending up the line because she didn't.
But we don't know that happened.
But look, I forget what page it's on because there's 39 of them. But I'm pretty damn sure she didn't even know about the threats.
Exactly. And again.
And that's what I just said a few minutes ago.
But what threats are we talking about, though? We had a couple specific incidents that happened in Behngazi. A couple high-profile events that, regardless of whether you go to regardless of what intelligence briefings you go to or not, you should be aware of. And the President of the United States should have been aware of those incidents, and security should have been stepped up, regardless of the other intelligence coming in.
I agree.
So, therefore, the buck stops with the President of the United States.
The point I'm trying to make is how much disarray the administration is in.
Doesn't matter. Your question was, do you think Hillary Clinton, this is going to hurt her? And
no, I've moved on since then.
Okay.
I've accepted your answer. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Okay.
I am moving on. I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm saying that this is a good insight into his administration.
Of how screwed up it is.
Yes.
Because I didn't get that you moved on.
Well, stick with me here.
I'm trying to, but you were arguing
Irish rules
before.
Irish rules.
So okay.
You come to the subject. I'm talking now. Get the bottle.
I was just gonna say Irish rules. I got to get the bottle. Hang on, I got to take my headset off to reach the bottle. Go ahead.
Oh, we're just breaking them all out tonight, aren't we? Also, there was a part where they kind of blame Ambassador Stevens. The ambassador did not.
Well, why not blame the dead guy? He can't defend himself.
The ambassador did not see the direct threats of an attack of this nature and scale on the UN mission and the overall negative trend of security incidents from spring to summer 2012 His status as the leading government advocate on Libyan policy and his expertise on Benghazi in particular caused Washington to give unusual deference to his judgments.
Yeah, so now we're going to blame the dead guy. That's
right.
Good. Okay.
But we all know he asked for help ahead of time.
Yeah.
So how can it be one and then the other? And why exactly? Let's blame the dead guy. This is my point. Is the overall is you look at this administration. State Department's kind of a big important one, isn't it? When you look at administrations of government, especially ours, it's kind of a big one. It's all about foreign policy.
Correct.
It is so screwed up, and now even the after report. It slams them overall, but there's little CYA sentences in there where they're going to be able to use that later down the line for whatever reason to deny a lot of things.
Does that surprise you?
No.
Okay.
I just don't want people to miss it. It also shows me that nobody's in charge when somebody needs to be in charge. And even if it's not Secretary Clinton, her subordinates, people who answer to her.
I do not believe for a second that people did not know full well what was going on. I think that they're trying the whole buffoon defense of, well, we didn't know, comedy of errors. Well,
so
I don't buy it.
They're either incompetent or they're liars.
Exactly, and I do not believe for a second.
And the people need to decide which one it is.
I personally do not believe for a second that it is that there is that level of incompetence. Look, we may not like the policies of the people in power. However, Barack Obama is not a stupid man.
No,
he's not. Hillary Clinton is not a stupid woman
at all.
So that to me tells me that it is not incompetence.
It's funny how when Petraeus all of a sudden, remember with Petraeus after the CIA thing, and the CIA came out and said, hey, that's not the intelligence thing, or there started to be rumbles, and then all of a sudden he had a big scandal and he disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Then this report came out and 4 people resigned that you look at their names and you're like, oh, okay, he's sort of important, he's not important, she is kind of not really a person that needs to be resigning. It's amazing the trend that is going on here. Whoa, he knows too much, time to go. She knows too much, time to go. You need to resign. Because if you don't resign, we're going to make you the bad guy for all of this. We can deny it later on because everyone loves us and we get away with stuff. But
we don't know that happened, though. We don't know that happened?
We don't know that happened.
Okay.
But you already said that you know the President and Secretary of State knew about this for 100%. So I think it's fair for me to assimilate that there are other games being played here.
I'm not saying that's not fair, but I'm just saying I'm making it clear that we don't know for sure. We don't.
And overall, it's pretty much we own the responsibility of security at our consulates. We don't need to rely on the locals, especially in places that are in such disarray as Behngazi was. One of the big important things that came out is the video, as we all know, had nothing to do with it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
So that's Behngazi.
Now, I did say that I have heard some conservative pundits say that, well, the guy that made the video is still in jail. And that kind of drives me a little nuts because, you know what, the guy is going to piss off conservative.
He violated his probation.
The guy should be in jail.
He violated his probation.
Not supposed to use the Internet. Can't make
supposed
movies.
to use electronic devices.
Guess what he did? He used the Internet. So,
to make a movie.
Yeah, to make a movie. So, yeah, you...
it was unfortunate that somebody blamed his video for this.
Somebody blamed you. That kind of sucks, but you were in violation of the terms of your probation. Right. Shouldn't have been a dirtbag in the first place.
Now,
you're in jail.
As we said, I think we've said this previously, had his probation never existed, we would absolutely support his right to
make the video. Movie. Absolutely.
But he violated the terms of his, I believe it's federal probation.
Probation, yeah.
And Behngazi came up, he got thrown. I mean, for him, it's just sucked high. Because he's like, you know what, I'm going to make this silly movie. Nobody's going to watch it. You know, He was trying to do that whole indie thing. It was in one movie theater. He's like, we'll see if something sticks. And then all of a sudden, I'm sure he's like got an email like, hey, I just heard something about your video trending.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, let's see what happened. Turned it on, and, you know, he's looking at the consulate on fire. He's like, wait a minute. What do I have anything to do with this?
Yeah.
But you're right. He violated.
Oh, damn. Now they're blaming me for this? I'm on probation.
I'm so screwed if my PO finds out.
So look, I don't.
He's a moron, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could maybe put this on an episode of Stupid Criminals, but I don't blame the government that he's still in jail or whatever. You know what? He violated his probation. Good. He should be in jail. That doesn't bother me. I don't care. I have to side with the libs on that one.
But no, no. You know what? I side with the rule of law on that one, not with the libs.
I don't know what a law is.
It's a bird. We've talked about this.
We have talked about this.
I love that we can make Sacco laugh. I think that's amazing.
Sacco's surfing porn. I just saw a midget clown. I saw a midget clown donkey in the search bar.
It's Christmas!
There's a Santa hat. Hey, what's that? What's that sound at the door?
I don't know. Did you hear it?
Is it? Hang on. Yeah. Come in.
5 minutes before. Wow, this guy has terrible timing.
Oh!
It's Santa Claus, ladies and gentlemen.
Merry Christmas, Sean.
Merry Christmas, Santa. Thank you for being here.
Merry Christmas, Clint. Merry Christmas, Santa.
What brings you by the studio? Aren't you trying? Your big night's right around the corner, Santa. Are you getting ready?
It is. But Mrs. Claus just made me some cookies, and I can't say that. And I told you I would come by the studio tonight.
Well, yeah, but you're a little early for your segment.
Well, wanted to give my 2 cents worth. My elves are working hard. I need to get back to the North Pole.
Well, I'm thinking I have to send you to the green room for the break. There's milk and cookies in there, so you can go to our green room.
Okay.
Man, I know he's got a big job to do, but the guy has no sense of timing whatsoever.
Seriously, well, did you tell him what time to be here?
Yeah.
Well, are you seriously going to dog out Santa Claus on the air? He knows not only when you're sleeping and when you're awake, but he knows what kind of shit you're talking behind his back.
Well, he should have showed up on time. But listen, we're going to take him after the break.
Okay, where are we going to take him?
Into gun control.
Okay.
And he's got his lone thoughts on gun control.
Is Santa Claus a liberal?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Did we have a conversation? Did we vet Santa Claus?
I'm going to put Sacco on that.
Okay.
Sacco, get into the other room and vet Santa Claus right now. If I ask him a bunch of the standard questions that we ask, make him sign the pledge. Let's go.
Yep.
He's independent.
We're going to be back.
He lost a lot of weight. He looks kind of like Clint now. It's kind of weird.
No. You know what? The nose.
No, that's Santa Claus.
That is absolutely Santa Claus. So when we come back, we're going to talk...
Sacco, get off of Rudolph. I got him.
We're talking Second Amendment, and Santa Claus will join us. We're back in a minute with Sackheads Radio.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. You want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis? That is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at homefronthugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. Homefronthugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to homefronthugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women in uniform of the armed forces. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our... God.
You going to mention me this time?
Thank you, Sean. Good? He said mention you, right?
Oh.
You totally need to keep that as an outtake.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
So we are back from the break. We have a very special guest who we had to pry away from the cookies in the green room because he's been on a diet at home, he told us. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have Santa Claus.
Santa Claus looks
slimmed.
Looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. Oh. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on Sackheads Radio.
Thank you for joining us, Santa. We know you have a busy schedule. We won't keep you that long.
So, Santa Claus, what's good to do with you? What's going on? Well, as you know, Sean, I talk to you all the time on Twitter and
emails.
And emails. We tried to get the North Pole recognized along with Palestine as an independent state, but I pulled my delegation back because I didn't want anything to do with the gun treaty that they're trying to pass there.
That would be the Small Arms Treaty, correct?
Listen, I have elves, so I'm a little sensitive to small arms. They don't
anything
really
banning small anything.
Take kindly to that. They prefer to call it the gun treaty.
Well, I
didn't think about that.
I'm sorry, Santa.
And what's weird is Sean is usually
sensitive.
not insensitive. I didn't take Santa Claus for a politically correct guy.
I'm sorry, Santa.
You know, the elves are not union yet, and I don't want to give them any excuse to organize.
Well, yeah, that could be bad for you.
Right.
How do you keep them non-union?
Well, I pay them very well.
Right.
And they enjoy their jobs, and they're happy to have a job in this economy, especially in a world where innocence is really lost. A lot of people don't really believe in me as much anymore, but they keep their spirits up.
Now, Santa, you pay them a good wage, and their jobs have gotten harder over the years. We're into electronics and all that stuff now. When you negotiate with them or you hire them, what do you look for in an elf? That you can say, you know what, I'm willing to invest money in this guy. I'm willing to pay him a decent wage or gal. I'm willing to give him good benefits so he's happy and essentially avoid the whole union argument.
Well, in the North Pole, you're either born an elf or you're not. And so we're almost like a right-to-work kind of place. If you're an elf, you're a toy manufacturer.
Well,
we also have elves that clean out the stables for the reindeer, and Comet seems to be their favorite because he's a little practical joker.
Yeah, I have had reindeer droppings before, so there's those little cookies, so I can understand.
Those were from the Easter Bunny, I think.
So. Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought they were a little pellet-like. So while we have you here, we're having a big debate in this country, and I know we only have you for a minute or two. The gun control debates come up. And again,
Yeah, the president's been very naughty.
Well, is that going to affect his haul this year from you?
Oh, Santa doesn't like to get too involved in politics, but Santa does like people to be happy, and part of that happiness is maintaining people's God-given freedoms. And the fact that the president is trying to infringe upon that is making Santa not very jolly. I tell you that much.
Well, I agree. I think he's making a lot of people not jolly in this country as well, as he's trying to frame this as a way to keep us safe and trying to keep it away from taking our rights away. And that's the thing that always comes up when we talk about gun control and a lot of other ones, especially, it's in the Bill of Rights. When you talk about gun control and taking guns away, which is their ultimate goal, you're talking about taking a right away that is God-given.
Well, and I'm not an American citizen. I'm a North Polian, so I don't know that I have much weight. Well, I have much weight, but not on this particular topic. But we modeled our own little charter rules there, for lack of a better term, based upon your Constitution. And the reason that we're so happy and free and nobody's invaded us yet is, although the Japanese tried in 1942, I remember that.
Right.
But the reason that we're so happy is because we actually live by the original intent.
Oh. So you actually went back to the original source documents, read about it before you read our Constitution, then modeled your own charter off that.
Yeah, we have a governing body of elves, and of course the rules of Christmas are the rules of Christmas. If you're good, you're good. If you're naughty, you're naughty.
Right.
But that's almost a capitalist view also, I suppose. It's not everybody's fair. If you're bad, you're bad.
Well, and you're a very generous man. We appreciate your time. I do have one more question, and this is from the chat room, Santa. This is kind of a big one. Boxers or briefs?
Licorice thong.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Red licorice thong with a peppermint stick. Merry Christmas,
Thanks for joining us, Santa.
Thank you
very much.
We'll see you later.
Santa Claus, ladies and gentlemen. He's got a lot of work to do.
Santa Claus had a peppermint stick. I think Santa Claus was
I just think he's got a sense of humor on him.
Dirty.
He knows us.
Although, I don't
know.
He's
listened to the show before. He knows us.
Well, he's a big fan.
He is a big fan.
But Santa Claus, I wouldn't put it past him to flavor his stick peppermint.
Well,
listen,
I'm not going on the naughty list, so I'm not going to go into it.
No. I'm speculating based upon a comment that Santa Claus.
I trust Santa and his word.
Okay.
He seems like a very wise man. He's been around for a long time.
He is a very, 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 very wise man.
He's been around a long time.
He hasn't been around that long.
And he's been all over the world. Hey, if anyone knows what works and what doesn't when it comes to government,
right?
It's Santa. The amount of time that he's been on this planet and the amount of countries that he's gone to.
Governments, yeah.
Right, he's seen it all. So
I wanted to ask him what Ahmadinejad was getting this Christmas.
Oh, and the sleigh just left.
Oh.
I'll tweet him.
Okay.
I'll tweet him later this week. So we got into gun control a little bit with Santa, and it's funny. The president released today. It's not funny, but he did release today.
Play the clip.
What?
Just play the clip.
Okay. Well, this is the first one. This is from the Fiscal Cliff thing, and he's talking about the Fiscal Cliff.
We already talked
questions.
about the Fiscal Cliff.
But listen, all of a sudden he has to slip in gun control into the Fiscal Cliff.
Now's not the time for more self-inflicted wounds. Certainly not those coming from Washington. And there's so much more work to be done in this country on jobs and on incomes, education, and energy. We're a week away from one of the worst tragedies in memory. So we've got work to do on gun safety, a host of other issues. These are all challenges that we can meet.
Interesting wording.
Yeah, I thought that was very weird considering we're talking about the Fiscal Cliff and he's trying to get lawmakers back to work and, encourage them to go home with your family, but think about it. And we have other stuff to do when we get back. Gun safety. Safety. And that's funny because when we talked about this, and it's a known fact, but that's how they coin this.
Of course.
Is, we have to make it safer. We have to make it safer for our children, which I agree. If you own a gun, you should practice good gun safety.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yep.
However,
so maybe what he's talking about is an educational campaign, maybe bringing the National Rifle Association in as a partner and coming up with a gun safety program in order to teach people how to use guns in a safe manner and how to properly defend themselves or somebody else with a gun, the historical context of the Second Amendment. Maybe that's what he's referring to.
Well, I would hope so. I think you're 100% wrong.
Oh. Well, now, he did say gun safety. He did not say gun control.
Right, because that's a buzzword.
Oh.
And that's where they're going to go with this. Is they know if they say gun control, the word control in it, they don't want to. The one thing that he's done for all the power that they've grabbed and all the things that they've changed to be more powerful, they've gone away from just saying, hey, you know what? Healthcare. It's socialized healthcare. It's a socialized system. No. It's not. We don't want to use that word.
Right.
So we use words like the individual mandate.
We don't want to use words like terrorist.
Right.
We don't want to use a word like gun control.
Right. Because that sounds bad.
Right.
So what we're going to do is make it sound. We're going to make the pile of crap presentable, and it's still going to be a pile of crap.
We're going to shine it up and spray it with Glade.
It's still going to be a pile of crap, but you're going to think it looks gorgeous.
Right. We're going to paint it up like a rose.
And that's where we're at now. And he's already appointed Vice President Biden, Crazy Uncle Joe, to head up this committee, and he's already meeting with law enforcement and all this other. How can we make this safer? They've already said they're going to go after the military-style assault rifles, including the air.
What does that mean?
That's a good question, because would a military-style assault rifle be any rifle?
What is an assault rifle? If you go to a manufacturer and you say, I want to purchase an assault rifle,
right?
What do they sell you?
I would guess any rifle could be used as one.
No, because
it's not designed.
It doesn't. There's no such thing as an assault rifle.
Well,
it's a political term.
No, wait.
That's weird.
Wait. No. It's a political term. There's a gun manufacturer. So it's been coined just to make something sound bad.
Right.
Oh, right.
Well, so what are some of the features of an assault weapon in the past, like in California and the old bandits? Let's see, a pistol grip.
Right.
A bayonet lug.
Right.
Because lots of people have been killed with bayonet lugs.
Right.
And a pistol grip, because it completely changes how the gun cycles and functions.
Right.
No, it doesn't. That's weird. I know. A detachable magazine.
Okay.
Because that totally changes how the gun. No, that doesn't either. The bullets are not as deadly if they're in a detachable.
No,
that's not
they're just as dangerous.
It holds less.
Okay.
It holds less, but that doesn't.
That doesn't mean it's an assault rifle.
Right. Oh, so if I have a knife and I assault somebody, is that an assault knife?
I think so.
Okay. So maybe an assault weapon is any gun.
Oh.
Or any gun that looks mean.
Oh, well, looks are a big deal.
Now, here's the thing, and this is what I am upset at both the right and the left for.
Mm-hmm.
The left has been allowed to frame the debate on gun control.
Oh, yes.
And how they have framed it is, what is the legitimate purpose of the gun? Is it for hunting? You don't use a gun like that for hunting. You don't use a gun like that for recreational purposes. You don't use a gun like that for personal defense. That gun was manufactured to kill. Those are the debates. Those are things being said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, here's the problem with that. First of all, the Second Amendment doesn't exist because of hunting.
No.
Or because of sporting.
No.
Or for self-defense per se.
Right.
The Second Amendment exists to give the people the means to maintain their freedom, either from other individual citizens who are trying to take their liberties away,
right,
attack or murder them or something of that nature, or from a government that becomes very oppressive, like what happened in during the time of the Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the argument of, well, people don't need military-style weapons. Well, yeah, actually, they do need
right. If
military-style
there's ever a
weapons.
tyrannous government,
because
that we have to defend ourselves against.
Right. And
can't bring a knife to a gunfight.
No. And how can a people maintain freedom from? And look, we're not saying that there are many people out there who say, oh, our government here will never be that way because we have checks and balances in place. And look, folks, without the Second Amendment and without an armed populace, the Constitution is an ideal. It's an idea. And there is no force of the people or threat of force from the people to be able to exert their power over the government.
Right.
So, well, then the argument is, well, you can just elect new people. Okay, if you have a government that decides to scrap the Constitution and that they are no longer going to hold elections, then guess what? You're not going to elect anybody else.
No.
If you have somebody that enacts martial law and doesn't lift it,
suspends the Constitution.
What are the courts going to do?
Nothing. They can't do anything because then the power is fully in the executive.
Yeah, okay, I rule that you have to reinstate this. Yeah, no.
Right.
So, I heard the other argument of it, and there are some false, to be fair, there are some false gun control quotes that supposedly Adolf Hitler said, and specifically something to the effect of, never before have we achieved full gun registration, blah, blah, blah. Supposedly he made the statement, I think, in 1938 or whatever. But what he actually was talking about is not allowing the Eastern European peoples he's already conquered to have guns because it could bring about his downfall. I've heard the pro-gun, I say pro-gun, but the pro-right people say, well, if the Jewish people had guns, and it's true, the Jewish people were not allowed to own guns. They were not allowed to do a lot of things under Nazi Germany. Mm-hmm. But if they had been allowed to own guns, it wouldn't have been very good because they didn't have the same type of weapons, or the type of weapons that was available to them wouldn't have done anything against what the German army had available. Thank you for making my point.
Right.
That is the entire point of my argument. And I actually heard that argument happen today, and it was a verbal thing going back and forth on a website post, and I wanted to jump in so bad and say, thank you for making the point. Yes, the Jewish people did not have the same types of weapons as the German military, and therefore
they couldn't defend themselves.
They couldn't defend themselves against an oppressive German military. Do you think the German people set out to elect Adolf Hitler and then proceed to attempt to exterminate an entire race of people and then start a world war? No, of course not. But it happened.
Right.
And we are not so unique that it cannot happen here. So that's the first part of the debate. And you may disagree and say, well, I don't think people need guns. Okay, then guess what? You can choose not to have one.
Right. You have that right.
You have that right. I choose to own a gun.
As do I.
Not because I necessarily I just want to keep buying a bunch of guns and I sleep with them under my pillow. No.
It's expensive.
It's very expensive. Otherwise, I totally would. No. I choose to own a gun.
Right.
In order to protect my liberties and the liberties of my family should somebody try and take those away from me by coming into my home and trying to, commit a heinous act of murder against my family or something like that.
Well, and I have a relative back east who has never owned a gun his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time I was back visiting, we were talking, and he said, it's my brother-in-law. He says, I think I'm going to buy a gun. And I said, well, why? And he's like, well, first and foremost, he has children, home defense.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I would like to go out, get training, learn how to use it.
Perfect.
All that stuff. He goes, but second of all, it's my constitutional right, and I'm a person who believes that if you have that constitutional right, you should express it in an appropriate manner.
Okay.
And he's just that type of person. He's an attorney. He knows the Constitution very well. He very much lives by it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that's
not all
my
attorneys
right.
do.
Not all attorneys do. But he said, that's my right. And he's like, he's not a gun nut at all. He doesn't want this or that, the quote unquote gun nuts that buy all the toys and the tools and have 1,000 guns.
So what?
Right. He's not that person because that's what everybody thinks when they're like, oh my God, somebody bought a gun. They automatically assume. It's funny when people assume that I have like 25 guns, and I'm like, you're not even in the ballpark.
Yeah, no, I've got like 78.
Right. But that's the person who's like, no, it's my constitutional right. It was put there for a reason. I want to defend my family, and I don't want to lose that. And so after the incident in Connecticut last week, all these different cities, and Bloomberg, who's always at the front of this whole gun thing, and my favorite thing is he's gone from, Giuliani did a really good job of cleaning up New York when it was at its worst. Unfortunately, they've had that gun law in effect for so long that you can't even own one in the city.
Didn't Heller overturn some of that? Because Heller...
That's recently, right, a lot of that's starting to change. In Chicago and D.C., I think, all of that's really starting to change. But New York has city ordinances that have been reworded, I believe, to kind of like San Francisco, where Feinstein's from. And I'm going to get into that.
And Pistol Grip Pelosi.
Pistol Grip. I still love that name. But yeah, so these are the cities that have the most stringent local ordinances against guns.
Well, their crime rates must be just completely like zero.
Right, D.C.
Right, yeah.
Doesn't have
zero
any
violent crime at all.
Oh, wait a minute. No, actually, they do.
They do.
Well, so
but it's only in the Capitol buildings where they're trying to rob us, right?
Right.
Okay.
Let's see.
Chicago, no, totally safe, right?
Yeah.
It's like zero crime.
Zero crime there,
right? They don't even have a police department, do they?
Well, why would you need one when it's utopia? San Francisco?
Yeah, same thing, right? Is there even a police department in San Francisco? I don't even know.
No, actually, you know what? I've met a couple San Francisco cops. Good
really?
Guys. Yeah,
are they allowed to carry guns?
Yes.
Why do they want to oppress the people?
They don't.
Now, why do they need guns if people shouldn't have guns there?
Let me go back to my point.
Okay. Sorry, I was questioning you.
Bloomberg came out and he essentially blamed other cities, especially like from the South, for saying, hey, we have these gun laws, but they have terrible gun laws. So people buy the guns down there, and then they come up into my city where the crimes are committed with them. So we need everyone. That's their argument to go national with gun control. Oh. Well, if I make all these rules in my city, and obviously it's not stopping because crime's still occurring. I think there was 3 shootings in San Francisco in the last 2 days or something like that. Either way, so what we have to do is we have to spread that control and make it nationwide so we're all safe and we all don't have problems.
Let's follow the logic.
Okay, I love playing this game with you.
But let's take it from the Second Amendment.
Okay.
And let's apply it to the right to representation, the Sixth Amendment, right?
Okay.
Okay. So look, we have a crime problem in a lot of areas in the United States, especially large cities. And I think the reason we have the crime problem is because too many criminals get off or get light sentences because of their attorneys.
Yeah.
That argue ridiculous things and make a mockery of the judicial system.
Absolutely.
Therefore, I think we need to restrict defense attorneys. We don't want to control them.
No, but
right?
just restrict.
But attorney safety.
Attorney safety.
Right.
Defense attorney safety.
A defense attorney safety.
I love where you're going with that.
We need to restrict the access that defense attorneys and the types of defenses they're allowed to use so that we get more criminals off the streets and our crime rates go down. So we're not going to control attorneys. We're not going to control because that's you're right.
Right.
I mean,
you can't possibly do that.
You have a right to representation, but we can control it in order to streamline things and make your streets safer. What do you think about that?
I think that's an interesting topic, and I think that's a good way to explain it.
Okay.
I also said, let's look at let's just shift this over to narcotics because a lot of people argue that drug crimes are automatically correlated with a lot of narcotic dealings and transactions.
Yes, drug crimes are related to narcotic dealings and transactions.
I'm sorry, gun crimes.
My
fault.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, I'm glad that if I slip up, you are right there to punch me in the face with it.
Yeah, and not to catch you when you fall.
Right, just to push me down harder on the way down.
And put it on YouTube.
So, 1 in 10 people in Baltimore, this is a recent study, are addicted to heroin. Black tar heroin.
Okay.
What if we made a law? And
really, black tar heroin? You couldn't say like China Light or something?
No, because that's the black tar heroin is what they're using. So I'm just sticking to the facts based on my research. What if we made a law, say, that outlawed this heroin?
We should.
And then with that law.
Wait a second.
Hold on. With that law, let's say we can't deal with it on a local level. So we get I don't know, like an agency.
Like a federal agency?
Like a federal agency. Now,
like a federal drug enforcement agency.
That would go around and enforce these drug laws.
Okay.
And that should stop it completely. But if it doesn't...
Wait, hang on. They have that.
No, wait, I'm not done yet.
No, but they have it.
They can't have it.
They do
We still have drugs on the street.
Listen, they have it. Not only have they had it, but they've had it for a long time, and heroin use isn't even restricted. It's actually completely illegal.
Oh. I thought it...
But here's the difference. You don't have a constitutional right to use heroin.
Right. Oh, well, I was just talking about the theory, not necessarily...
Oh.
Okay, so you got me there.
Okay.
So what if we did something different? What if we protected our borders? Because you can't really grow poppy that well in this country.
Right.
So why don't we do something? Let's say we put a federal agency on the borders.
Okay.
All of our ports, all that stuff. We have them monitor and try to stop people from bringing illegal items over.
Yeah, we do that.
Well, how do we do that?
We have that. You have Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and you have Border Patrol.
And yet these drugs still get in?
Yeah. Weird, huh?
Now, maybe I'm crazy. Let's say the liberals hit the magic liberal button.
Okay.
All the guns in America are gone.
Okay.
Not a gun.
Wait, just America, not the world?
No, not the world, because we don't have that power yet.
Okay.
Trust me, at some point, this president might want to give that power to the UN.
Right.
But right now, we can only control what's in our borders for the most part.
Correct.
So let's say the magic button's hit. All the guns go away except for the military and law enforcement.
Then we never have another murder.
Right. In theory, that should end it. However, have you ever heard of drug cartels?
Hang on a second. Our gun-related murders would go down. However, we would have other murders. It's like in China. We talked about it on last week's show, right?
Right.
Guns, you can't, private ownership of guns is almost completely zero. And all of their school massacres, I believe they've had more than the United States, more than their school attacks, are all edged weapons and one hammer. A cleaver, edged weapons, and a hammer.
Okay.
So, yeah, that didn't work.
Well, so here's my thing.
Okay.
Guns are gone. Nobody has them in this country that shouldn't have them except for law enforcement in the magic liberal world.
Right.
Law enforcement and the military.
Who would never need them.
Who would never need them at that point because, come on, let's face it, there's no guns.
Right.
Now, have you ever heard of, like, a drug cartel or a coyote? These are the people that ship drugs and people over the border.
Yeah. Mules, coyotes,
At the end of the day, we look at them as these drug cartels and the evil people that just want to poison our streets with drugs. They look at themselves like private business.
Right.
You know, right, wrong, or indifferent. And don't you think that if guns ended in the street, on the streets, they would turn around and see a different market?
Yes.
And say, instead of a body where I can get a decent-sized body over the border and I charge $3,000 to $4,000 for that, and I can go over to, say, I don't know, the Congo, where I can buy an AK-47 for $50.
Less than that.
Less than that. I just have to ship it across the Atlantic, and I think I did the research. It's $30 to $150 a piece for an AK-47 in the Congo or Tanzania.
Black market?
Yeah. All I have to do is get it across the Atlantic, so I'll have to bring it into a country, let's say, that doesn't have great customs and immigration, all of Central America.
Right.
Now, The cartels know how to operate in Mexico, or they wouldn't still be there.
Cartels know how to bring things across our border.
Professionals.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yes.
So at first it may be, hey, we're going to get guns over there to protect our stash that's still on the street. Because people over there only have knives. So if we put a gun in the hand of our dealer, we're protected. And then somebody's going to go, hey, I want to buy that gun, and I'll give you $600 for it because I'm running this chop shop, and the guy up the street keeps trying to give me, oh, wait a second, bing, 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 the light goes on. There's a whole new business here. I say if you hit the button now, in 10 hours, there'd be 100 illegal guns in this country that got brought up over the border.
Who knows?
So you can outlaw guns in this country in your little liberal mind of, hey, it'll make everything better. But guess what? They're still going to end up coming in.
Okay, let's say the cartel. Let's say there's no guns. Let's say all the guns in the world magically disappeared.
Right.
They are so easy to manufacture.
China blows them out of the water nonstop.
Let's say nobody manufactures guns. There's no professional manufacturing of guns.
Right.
They are so easy to make that people can make a firearm in their garage. They've already been invented. You cannot ring that bell. But again, we're having the wrong stinking debate because you cannot take that right away if our rights come from God, which, according to the Declaration of Independence, they do, and the purpose of having them is to maintain our freedom from other individuals who are trying to take that liberty or an oppressive government, which just because we don't have one now or we haven't had one in 200 years doesn't mean that we're not going to have one in the future, you liberal pukes. Okay, we had a caller, I believe.
We do have a caller. I believe it's Mike, and I think he's calling from Long Island, New York.
I love your iced tea.
And he has a question about guns for us. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, right on both counts? That's right, Mike. I'm calling from Long Island, New York. This is where I get specific now. I'm from Long Island, so I'm out east, and you got two counties on Long Island there. You got your Suffolk County there, and then you got your Nassau County, which is a little closer to the city, a little more bluish. Let's just be honest.
Okay. I've been in Nassau County. It's a lot more bluish.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Blue in a lot of bad ways, too. So, that meaning, of course, obviously they take away a lot of rights out there in Nassau County. It's a blue county. It's a Democratic county, which means a lot more taxes, a lot less gun rights, and a lot more of those people, you know what I mean? And what we basically do is, I live out in Suffolk County. So I live out towards Calverton there, and it's nice, we have a gun range and stuff. And what we do is we've got a lot of Republicans out there in the Suffolk County area, and we're doing a lot of it's different. So, but what I'm wondering is, what you guys know the business a little more than me. You're talking about a guy who, personally, between you and me, I own a Bushmaster ACR there, and I got an AR-15, which I want to talk about how we got that going on. And but I got some. I had permits. Maybe I don't anymore. I got a Beretta ARX 160. Just I got some weird rifles that gets questionable.
Right.
When it comes to his new president and his people and what have you. So how do I get? What's your opinion there? Like, what's the future going towards owning guns like this? Because you have certain people you want to keep out of your property.
Hey, Mike, I'm going to put you on hold because we're getting a little bit of feedback on our side, but we'll answer your question, so just stay on hold.
Okay.
As far as what's going to happen, listen, we've already talked about earlier in the show that there's no such thing as an assault rifle. Clint brought up a very valid point that it's a political word to make them demonize them, essentially. The government
sounds scary.
The government is going to go, in my opinion, essentially they're going to go from everything but like a single-shot black powder rifle or a shotgun. Is probably going to be the only thing left alone because the hunters and you have the right to hunt and blah, 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 blah. They're going to go after anything semi-automatic, in my opinion, anything that holds maybe more than 5 rounds, so you might get okay with a small 5-round revolver.
Look,
listen, they're going to go for everything.
They're already talking about a federal gun registration process for all firearms.
Right.
They're already California has already talked about you need a permit to buy ammunition. and you need an annual background check that
Which,
you're going to
by the
have
way,
to pay for. It's going to cost more money, and they totally have the money for it.
Right.
Permits. That's a good idea. So in order to be represented in trial, you have to get a permit to be able to hire a defense attorney. I like it. We can do this all day, liberals. Come on, people.
Let's keep going.
Look, now, to answer his question, look, in my purest belief, and there are a lot of people who are going to disagree with this, and I don't care, you're wrong. In my purest belief, any gun regulation, with the exception of, if you're a felon, you cannot own a gun, or if you're mentally unstable, you cannot own a gun. Look, I'm for that type of legislation because if you are a felon, you have, in theory, violated the rights of somebody else, and therefore you give up your rights in return because your exercise of free rights ends when you infringe upon the rights of others. So I can see that. I'm on board with that type of legislation. However, when it comes to regulating type of firearm, especially given the technology today and the types of weapons that military powers, not only our own but others in the world, have, I think you need a populace, a militia, which if you look at what a militia is and you read all the founders' quotes on it, it's clear the militia are the people, which is us, not a government-controlled army, which the National Guard is, when it falls under. I mean, they can be a form of militia, but the militia as a whole, if you look at the debates on the Constitution, are the people themselves.
Yep.
So you cannot, at least legally, I mean, they do. Several laws they pass are unconstitutional, but so people call them legal, but it doesn't make it right or constitutional. I believe that the gun laws passed on assault weapons ban, or scary-looking gun ban, as I like to call it, is unconstitutional, regardless of what the courts say. It's very clear what the intent of the Second Amendment was. It's very clear in the debates. I actually have several quotes ready to go when we come back. So, Mike, to answer your question, where do I think it's going? Look, we already know they're going to try and take those types of weapons, military-style weapons, away. We know that they're probably going to go after semi-automatic weapons. You look what they're doing in California about going after ammunition and full gun registration, like they're trying to do, and it's very clear where they're going for it. I don't believe it's constitutional because well,
Massachusetts already has this, and I had a permit back home, a CCW permit, and from the time I was 16, when you could, legally get what they call an FID card, a firearms identification card, rifles and shotguns, so you could bring them to the range and all that stuff. You had to have that in order to have a gun on you, even if it's unloaded, locked, and in your car. In order to buy ammunition or pepper spray, you had to have, and they've changed the names a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think it's called they have a chemical weapons permit now for the pepper spray.
So did you have to get a permit or an ID card to exercise your First Amendment right, freedom of speech?
No, it's weird.
Huh?
Which should be more dangerous.
Absolutely, yeah.
If used in wrong manner.
Yeah.
Think about how many feelings you could hurt with that. And I'm not kidding.
Right. No. What did you have to get a permit or an ID card in order to exercise your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination?
No.
Huh. That's weird. Massachusetts can make a lot of money on issuing permits and cards in order for you to be able to exercise your rights.
But yeah, and that's been there for a long time. Just to buy ammunition, you had to have an FID card. You can have if you're working security or something else, and I'll get back into this in a second, you can get a work permit that allows you to carry away your work, or you can get, they have a large capacity, which is anything 10 rounds and over if it's pre-band.
Who made that number?
I don't know.
Are you freaking, that's a large capacity. For what? Have you ever eaten 10 M&Ms? So that is not a large capacity.
So I hate to say it, people, the framework for this is already out there. All they're going to do is just adopt it from different states and make it a federal issue. And we have to watch out for that. As far as which guns, at this point, I say all of them. They're coming after all of them.
And you know what's scary is the Republicans are some of the Republicans, at least, especially some of those that are getting A+ ratings from some of the I say gun rights groups. It's not gun rights group. You have a right.
gun owners group.
Yeah, they're starting to, they're bowing to the political pressure. I think the conversation is framed absolutely wrong.
Right, and they're letting it be framed wrong. Here, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to finish up the show.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. We often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women in uniform of the armed forces. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our... God.
You going to mention me this time?
Thank you, Sean. You said mention you, right?
Oh.
You totally need to keep that as an outtake.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you. We are back.
I am back.
I'm back.
Hey, I found an article today. It was written by Angela Brown of the Associated Press, and there's a town in, guess where?
I'm going to say Texas.
Yep, absolutely. A town in Texas. It's Harold, Texas.
Harold.
That actually allows their teachers to carry concealed firearms.
Right.
And I love this because, one of the stories out of Connecticut was the principal tried to actually physically attack and restrain the shooter and was shot and killed. Imagine if that principal actually had a firearm and was able to engage the shooter. And even if she missed, that shooter's attention would have been drawn to her and away from the students.
Well, it also would have created resistance, which, as we've talked about with active shooters in the past, is one of the first things that causes it all to stop.
No, absolutely. And
that's usually when either the retreat or the suicide takes place.
There have been numerous cases like that. As a matter of fact, a couple of days ago, there was an incident in a movie theater. I want to say it was Texas again.
It was Texas.
Off-duty sheriff's sergeant who was off duty at the theater.
Had her weapon.
Heard a gunshot or a couple gunshots go off. Comes out, draws her weapon, which she had concealed on her person, off duty, and addressed the threat, shot the gunman. I think she fired one round and put him down. He was wounded. One other person wounded. Stopped the threat. Good job. There was also that kid, I think it was, 19, 20 years old, out of Oregon. Washington, had a concealed weapons permit, was in a shopping mall, saw a gunman, drew his firearm.
Yeah, that was the shooting a week and a half ago.
Said I don't know if it was only a week and a half ago, but said he didn't fire because, there were other people in the mall exercising
Didn't have a clear
judgment, and the gunman gave up. Anyways, I digress. Harold, Texas, it's a small town where the teachers, there's one school there. It's remote. The nearest law enforcement is 30 minutes response time away, which, is a long time.
Yeah.
And, small town, everybody knows each other there. And the school board, because of the long response from the sheriff's department, the school board actually voted to let their teachers bring guns to school. You know how much gun violence they've had there with teachers just going crazy and the kids running willy-nilly around with guns?
Zero.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Well, and I'm sure, too, though, is everyone there is responsible and educated on their weapon.
They are, and don't get me wrong. Look, I am for arming teachers if they're willing to undergo proper training in the use of the firearms.
Almost like pilots did in the airlines.
Right. Isn't that weird? After 9/11, the big clamor under a Republican administration was to arm the pilots, and now instead of arming certain teachers or principals or maybe a couple people at school, you know how many retired cops out there are who would go into a job like this? Look, with budgets the way they are now, and I applaud this school district. You know what? Way not to be a bunch of freaking cowards and leave your kids unprotected in the name of political correctness. So can you imagine if there were like, okay, resources available now, budget cuts, right? There are municipalities, counties, states that are going broke. They're laying law enforcement off. They're pulling their school resource officers out.
Right.
So law enforcement protection, folks, is
going down.
Going down. It's not going up. And how many retired officers or former military or something can undergo some type of evaluation, hiring process, background check, and be armed at these schools.
And uniform at these schools.
Right. Uniform, like security,
and we talked about
whatever it is. Or even principals.
Right. Oh, and teachers. One of the things that I brought up is you come up with almost like this hybrid where you put them through the training of the law enforcement side. Mm-hmm. Maybe they wanted to be a teacher, and it's kind of like that person. I always wanted to be a cop and a teacher, so you come up with like a hybrid program where they learn to be a cop and a teacher. And you put them in the school. Their number one job is to defend the campus should something go wrong.
They're children.
But their number two job is to educate. Hey, you know what? When they're young, you can get into stranger danger, all that stuff. When they start to get into middle school, you teach them about DARE and all that stuff. And when you get in high school, you can start teaching them how the law will apply to them as adults.
And you know what? I would not even object to a law that simply allowed educators with certain training to be able to carry a firearm during school hours. And hey, if you choose not to as an educator,
that's your choice.
That's your choice. Okay. But God forbid something happen.
My theory on that is now you have a person on the grounds. They can get into whole contingency plannings and how to do the emergency operations drill. Yeah, you know what? Maybe you take the budget from one teacher and put it towards that person instead. But they're still in a classroom. They're still teaching. You still have that uniform presence that's on campus. Should something go wrong, that first line of defense is there, and you can turn that into such an amazingly positive program.
See, I would say you don't. If it's a teacher, you keep them out of uniform. But maybe
no. I'm talking about the person I'm specifically talking about. This hybrid. Maybe they're a cop that teaches a certain curriculum. Like a school resource officer, but yeah, you know what? During the day, they're in a class. They run a class in uniform, ready to go, but they still run a class. Like, hey, kids, you know what? This is stranger danger. This is this. This is that. You only need one of them to run through the whole school and teach maybe like a class per grade or whatever, however you want to do that. But you can use them for so many other positive things, and you can build that relationship with children at a young age that, hey, you know what? If you're ever in trouble, you can go to a cop.
See, I wouldn't
I just think
I would say if it's not a I don't know about the hybrid thing. I think that's kind of an interesting perspective. I think that if you take a retired cop and that's their job at school security, or you know what, you just arm the teacher or the principal.
I'm just saying, here's the problem. And just like I was going to title the blog that never made it this week, we've tried all the liberal ideas about gun control and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to work.
It hasn't worked.
Let's look at other ideas. Let's actually look at things that are positive. Think outside the box. Look at arming the teachers. Looking at maybe having this police officer that's in the school and actually does something. You know, we can't keep doing the same things over and over again. You know, one of the things that has been brought up in this is mental health.
Okay.
And how mental health has been an issue and how people have ignored the warning signs. You look at the last 3 major shootings, Colorado, Fort Hood, which is weird because that's workplace violence, and not terrorism, but that's bizarre. And Sandy Hook Elementary, all of them, there were previous signs of mental illness in the shooters.
That's not a shock. Look, we know there's a cycle of violence. We know that cycle of violence takes time. Somebody's got to notice something. I wanted to come back to something because I know we're running short on time. The big attack right now is assault weapons, right? Mm-hmm. Military-style rifles, specifically AR-15 type rifles. Do you know that according to FBI statistics, murders in the United States, the least amount of murders in the United States were committed with rifles?
Weird.
There were more murders committed with hands, fists, and feet than there were
firearms
with rifles by just over double. There are
we going to ban hands, fists, and feet?
We should ban hands, fists,
or at least get a permit for them.
In 2010,
like Chuck Norris needs.
In 2010, there were 358 murders committed with rifles. 373 is the next highest with shotguns, or next lowest with shotguns. Hands, feet, and fists with 745. A knife or a blade with 1,704. So, we should ban hands, fists, and feet. Other weapons, 1772. Unknown guns, so it was a firearm of some type, so it could have been a homemade job or whatever, 2,035, and then handguns was the majority with 6,009. And that handgun encompasses everything from revolvers, semi-automatics, it just doesn't say, it just says handguns. So what they're going after and targeting the most
is the ironic, one that's least.
Is the category that the least amount of murders were committed in the United States, and these are FBI statistics from 2010. So... okay, makes sense.
Well, and it goes to say in Fort Hood, which if you've read anything about Fort Hood, there were major signs ahead of time. This guy, Major Nadell, Hassan.
Yeah, but they couldn't do anything because it was politically incorrect. It's insensitive.
Right, and there were signs for mental illness that everyone was worried that it was going to be confused with insensitivity towards his religion and his nationality. Here's a guy who literally was likening suicide bombers to a soldier jumping on a grenade to save his fellow comrades. He was saying that other great Muslim terrorists, such as the guy that shot the 2 recruiters in Little Rock, Arkansas, he said that Muslims should stand up and fight against the aggressor, meaning Americans. All this was done before the shooting. And then in the shooting, he shouldn't have had the guns because they have a no firearms policy on the base. They're supposed to be logged up with the provost marshal. So gun control was in full effect on the base. Mm-hmm. He still had these weapons, committed these horrendous acts. However, fortunately for the people at Fort Hood, law enforcement was on the scene quickly and was able to stop it. So missed mental health once again. Everyone should have said something and said nothing. Had weapons he wasn't supposed to have. Never mind the fact that they're calling it workplace violence and they refuse to call him a terrorist for some strange reason, even though he has said over and over again. Oh, and he tried to contact Anwar al-Awlaki for spiritual guidance, and he actually posted in a whole bunch of terrorist chat rooms under the name Nidal Hassan. And it all went under the radar, and Fort Hood happened. So it's prevention, it's recognition. People have to stand up and say something. You know, we don't need a witch hunt of, oh, my goodness, that guy had a bad day, so he's going to be crazy and it's going to create workplace violence. We have to be realistic. If you have a family member that's acting weird, you know, educate yourself. You know, there's signs of depression. There's signs of mental disability that have all preceded these cases that people have ignored. And we still, you know, they've been bringing it up because a lot of other people have, and the president did, oh, you know, we got to look at mental health. But gun safety, gun safety, gun safety, gun safety. Mm-hmm. Well, the mental health is going to fall by the wayside. And they're going to go after the guns because they want you to believe that that's the problem. The problem is there are signs that are missed. Everyone blinks, bats the eye and looks the other way. And nobody wants to address the issue, as in the case of Hassan, because he was Arabic, he was Muslim, and if we call him out on it, we're just going to be a whole bunch of racists.
I want to read a quick quote. This is from Mr. Mason, George Mason, one of our founding fathers. Took place on June 14, 1788, which from the debate in Virginia on the ratifying convention for our Constitution. And they're talking about 40 years ago. This is a quote from him. 40 years ago, when the resolution of enslaving America was formed in Great Britain, the British Parliament was advised by an artful man who was governor of Pennsylvania to disarm the people, that it was the best and most effectual way to enslave them, but that they should not do it openly but weaken them and let them sink gradually by totally disusing and neglecting the militia. And he goes on to talk about what the militia is, which is the people themselves, and how that is. Thomas Paine has other quotes about it, about the balance of power being necessary with arms and so forth. Sorry, you kept holding up fingers at me, and I got sidetracked. Socko knocked it off. So you know, this just goes to show that the debate is framed completely wrong.
Exactly.
Right now, and
they're going to demonize the weapons because inanimate objects won't fight back.
Exactly, and
the Constitution,
there's no
Constitution can't really fight if nobody stands up to fight for it.
Well, I just, you know, it goes back to, again, I think that it's a lack of understanding on where the Second Amendment comes from that has even on the side of the right that they're allowing this argument to be framed. They say you don't need weapons, you don't need that mean-looking weapon to hunt with, or you don't need that mean-looking weapon for self-defense, and you don't need military-style weapons. And they say, well, gosh, well, maybe you can hunt with that.
Right.
Or maybe, well, I can target shoot with that.
Well, and the problem
that's not the freaking debate. That's their opportunity to say, hey, dumbass, it doesn't matter what I do with that rifle because that's not the intent.
And when you argue the wrong debate, it automatically says this must be the right debate because they're arguing.
Well, if you allow them to frame the argument,
right,
and you
instead
allow
of just like you said, going, hey, this isn't the argument, I'm not even going to talk about it until you know what the argument is.
Exactly.
And walk away, they get involved, and now you're defensive. Why are you defensive? Because you're trying to hide or protect something.
And not only that, but now you are debating them on their terms because they have defined what it is we're going to debate, which is a perverted version of what the true point really is. So
and it's only going to get worse. I can only imagine.
I'm tired.
Yeah, I can only imagine that it's going to just grow in its spectrum, and they're going to start going after everything. We will cover it as always.
And by everything, we mean chickens.
And chickens, too. Chickens are on the hunt. Because you won't be able to hunt chickens eventually, because they're on the plain roaming naturally.
Well, listen, chickens are vicious creatures.
That taste delicious.
So I totally understand why people go hunting on chicken farms. What? Have you ever been to a chicken
one
hunting?
One of the easiest hunts I ever did was on a cow farm. So it was. I was shocked. They all just stand there together. I thought I was going to have to sneak up on it.
Right.
You know, it wasn't. It actually came over.
And you started petting it, and you're like, oh, this is really no fun.
Then I am like Bugs Bunny and the two guys in the lifeboat. I just see them as food. So, hey, listen, we got to wrap up the show. I want to apologize to the caller that Socko dropped accidentally. He is very, very sorry, and we will deal with him off the show. I want to wish.
We're gonna flog him. I think we're bringing.
We're gonna put him
flogging
in the
back.
stocks.
Yeah, he's non-union, so we can flog him. I'm pretty sure there's something that allows us to do that.
Hey, you.
What?
And you. I want to wish you both a Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Did that?
Right.
There?
Right.
I want to wish all of our listeners a very Merry Christmas. If we don't talk to you next week, we're still up in the air on that.
We are?
I don't know. I just sounded good. I've heard somebody say that before on a show.
That sounded really good.
If I don't hear you, if we don't hear us, Happy New Year. Yeah, it might be a pre-recorded show. Thanks, Sacco. That's our producer, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Sacco.
Woo! Merry Christmas to all. I hope you have a safe and wonderful Christmas.
If you were going to
Enjoy
say
your
Merry
family.
Christmas to all a good night, I was going to have to probably.
No, I did push that I was going to make you read The Night Before Christmas tonight.
Oh,
but I didn't.
I totally
We
would've.
didn't have time. I know it would have been a great one. Thank you for everyone in the chat room. Merry Christmas to you. Check us out, sackheadsradio.com. What?
What if I want to say Merry Christmas?
Oh, go ahead.
Really, you're allowed to give a big freaking speech like you're accepting an Oscar, and I can't even say Merry Christmas?
I'm going to play the Wrap It Up music on you.
Oh, my God. Merry Christmas to all. See that? You took so much stinking time.
You still
I can't
have time.
even say Merry
60
okay.
seconds.
Hey, I want to wish you Merry Christmas, my brother.
Thank you, sir.
And Sacco, Merry Christmas to you, your family as well. All of our listeners, thank you so much for listening and making Sackheads Radio possible, all two of you. And I'm going to say Merry Christmas to the President of the United States.
Absolutely.
God bless you this holiday season. And all of our men and women in uniform serving overseas, and our men and women in uniform here stateside doing the good work in public safety here.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to play the ending music, and we're going to stay on for a few more minutes and take the call. So it won't be live, but you'll be able to get it when you download it. So thank you very much. Merry Christmas to all. We're back. This is like the extra Sackheads Radio.
Extra.
We've never done this before.
Are we going to make people pay for this segment?
Absolutely not. But you know what? It's the Christmas season. We didn't want to run out. Sal from New York City's on the phone. Sal, how are you?
Hey, welcome to the show,
Hi.
Sal.
Great. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And thank you, gentlemen, so much for taking my call. I guess a little overtime. Listen, I appreciate the conservative viewpoint, so I guess I wanted to chime in a bit. You know?
Okay, go right ahead.
No, yeah, I mean, in terms of, I just want to say very quickly, you know, I've called on some of the other shows on BTR, and your show is very informed, and you do your homework, and a lot of times I will call into shows where the hosts and the guests on the show are discussing a particular topic, and they have no clue about the subject matter which they're discussing. And that's somewhat.
We'll get into that, but usually it's not when we're talking about stuff that we're strong on. Usually it has something to do with anything outside of the Constitution. If it has to do with real life, we're not that strong on it. I don't know.
You know,
but
like on women, I don't understand them.
Who does? They don't understand themselves.
We're big believers, and we try to do our research. Clint's a research machine. You know, we do this show to inform people about what's going on, and we don't want to bring you guys the wrong information. So I appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
We try
well,
to
that's responsible, and that's the mature response. But unfortunately, a lot of the shows are not. I think a lot of those shows that are even popular. I mean, I was just on another show discussing a topic, and none of the people on the show really were informed. It was about religion. And I'm not particularly religious, but I have some, information about it. If I'm not really informed on a topic, I will listen. There's a time for everything. Yeah. It behooves me to listen. That's the mature and intelligent thing to do. I'm not going to pretend to be informed about something just for, a petty ego, exercise in egotism, because I want to, that's sophomoric and silly. Yeah.
Hey, Sal.
Yeah.
You know what you should do? You should call everybody in Congress and give them that piece of advice. Don't talk about something when you don't know what you're talking about.
Both sides of the aisle.
On both sides of the aisle.
They need that advice.
Let's learn what we're talking about, i.e. the Constitution, and then have the discussion. How's that?
Exactly. Yes, Jim.
Hey, Sal, we're going to wrap because we are up against our personal time, but we want to thank you. Merry Christmas, my dear.
Thank you so
much. Did you have a question outside of that? I'm sorry, Sal.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's so many questions. I guess it's, we're over time, and again, you indulge me somewhat. But I guess I'd call back another time. But one thing I will ask you, both of you, what do you think? Again, I didn't get a chance to hear most of your show. What do you think is the most pressing issues for conservatives, and not just for conservatives, but that are besetting our country? What do you think are some of the just itemize them for me, just to inform me of the most important issues besetting our country?
Unless you want to think about it for a moment.
No, I think the most important issue facing our country, and I think it's actually twofold. I think that people in our country, the leaders of our country, their principles are either lacking or they compromise them, and that's on both sides of the political aisle. I think that we need to get back to being a principled country and get back to our true belief as far as equality for all. Not equality in terms of possessions, but equality in terms of
opportunity.
Of opportunity, absolutely, and freedoms, and I think that is the biggest problem facing our country. I think, look, I've said this about President Obama. The man has he's probably the one person, elected official, who has told us exactly what it is he wants to do and has actually stuck to it, and I actually respect that. He said right before he won election the first time, we're a couple days away from fundamentally transforming America. I believe that. I disagree with his view, but I think that he told us exactly what he wants to do, and he has stuck by that. I think that if the men and women in Congress were honest with what it is they were trying to accomplish, again, both sides of the political aisle, I think we would be able to now have a good starting place to have some honest debate and discussion in this country. I think when you have both sides, I don't care, Democrat or Republican, that change their mind or bend on their views or compromise their principles, you don't have a solid starting place for a discussion because your principles are compromised and changing. Whereas if you really tell your voters, the people who elected you, where you stand on whatever issue, then we can, and you stick to it, then we can have an honest debate, and that debate doesn't shift. Does that make sense?
A great deal of sense. Integrity, yes.
Yes, sir.
Some integrity. Yes.
I feel the same way. I think that we have to get back to being a moral, for the Republicans, you have to stick to the moral card, and you have to stick with morality. And I'm not saying that means to belittle other things, but that just means making the right constitutional choice when you're voting. And stand up for the Constitution. Don't be afraid of the Constitution. As we got into the gun argument tonight, we already have Republicans that are starting to run away from the Constitution on the Second Amendment. And that's scary because that's something that the right has been protecting for so long and defending, and rightfully so. And I don't just say that because the word right's in it, but correctly. And now they're starting to waver on it. And once they give in on this, it's going to chip away at everything else. Look, they've given in on the fiscal cliff. They've given in on finances, and the left is chipped and chipped and chipped, and it's only going to get worse. And gun control is right behind it.
It is.
And the same thing happened with healthcare.
And I made the debate or the point earlier in the show, and it was to be absurd. I made the absurd point, but here was the point: if the people allow the Second Amendment, which if you look at the historical documentation, it is clear what the purpose of the Second Amendment is. If we allow the Second Amendment to be watered down, chiseled down, controlled by the government, and maybe that is somebody's personal view of what it should be. Let's say, for sake of argument, that Sean believed that be the case. What happens when we get an administration or elected officials in there that want to do that with another right? Exactly. That maybe Sean holds more dear. So now maybe the Fifth Amendment starts getting watered down or controlled, or the Sixth Amendment or the First Amendment. And that's kind of the slippery slope that we're on. And that's one of those things I mean, hey, we need to have honest debate about this, and we need to stick true to principles. And I think, Sean talked about the moral thing. You used to be able to buy a gun in the 50s at a hardware store and walk out with it the same day, and we didn't have the mass killings we had today.
Exactly.
And
so what's changed?
What's changed? Well, what's changed? Our culture has changed in the sense of morality, and that's not a religious connotation. It's our sense of right and wrong has been altered by media, by movies, by video games. And look, video games don't make a killer, but look at how the military and law enforcement trains their soldiers and officers to use force, like they may have to do someday, either in combat or on the streets. They use those types of simulations in order to condition the brain to get used to combat, and video games do that. I'm not saying video games cause killing, but it does cause desensitization.
Right.
I can't pronounce that word right now. It's late.
It desensitizes people.
It desensitizes.
No, and I agree to a point, and I think that's when parenting and parents is doing the moral thing of raising their children the right way to know right from wrong needs to step in and bridge that gap. Listen, I grew up. I had violent video games that were just starting to really come up. I'm trying to think of the game that I used to play on Nintendo, Narc, and a couple other ones.
You also had toy guns and walked around and ran around playing cops and robbers.
But I also had parents that let me know right from wrong, and it didn't matter if my parents were getting along or not getting along. They both had the same message, and they both raised me to respect other people's property and all that stuff. So we need to get back to that as a nation.
Well, both of you made some excellent comments, and I was doing, because, the liberals, and I hate to kind of categorize, but the left wing, I have a lot of, they're pretty problematic in terms of morality and, promoting what I believe a lot of degenerate agendas such as transgender. I mean, look at what's happening. Abortion.
Well, it's a look at, I'll give you one example that I always, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No, not at all, please.
Sandra Fluke gets put up on the podium for being this hero for women's rights because of birth control and, she's promiscuous. But you look at how they treat people like Sarah Palin and the things that the left calls her. She's married. She had a successful career. She's a good mother for the most part. And they demonized her because she was a threat. So that's the left you're dealing with. They're going to put a Sandra Fluke up on the platform. Oh, my God, she's a hero and she's doing everything for women's rights.
Yeah.
But, you look at Sarah Palin and, she's just a sellout and she doesn't know what she's doing. And they call her all sorts of terrible, terrible names.
And Michelle Bachmann, they demonize her. Phyllis Schlafly, they hate her. And these are women who advocate for family values, who are against anti-abortion. Well, you said Sarah Fluke. Didn't Rush Limbaugh say something about her being like a slut or something because she's advocating that the government pay for women's birth control?
Yeah, he called her a slut, and that was his personal opinion.
Exactly.
And everyone called for immediately you have to pull his commercials. You have to get him off the air. He's a monster.
Yeah, what Bill Maher say about?
Oh my goodness!
He's a shill. Bill Maher's a shill for the Democratic Party. He's a shill.
It absolutely is. So, hey Sal, thank you for calling.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I'm sorry. I wish I called in earlier, gentlemen.
No, that's fine.
No. We'd love to have you back.
Yeah, check us out. Can you do me one favor though, because your accent is perfect for this? Can you say this is Sal from New York, and you listen to Sackheads Radio?
This is Sal from New York. Please listen to Sackheads Radio.
Sal,
thank you.
You have an amazing Christmas. Merry Christmas, sir, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Bola Fortuna. Bye.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
This is Sackheads Radio. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas.